bet it's a bullet gonna get the last laugh.
So we have a couple of tweets here from Harada where he's talking about DLC possibilities and he's responding to players on Twitter. Like this first tweet here where someone is saying, I love that Tekken 8 Season 2 hotfix feels like a blend of Tekken 5 Dark Regression. I think people just need to give the game a chance and wait for the updates to Tekken 8 DR Plus. Thank you for keeping the casual players happy. This is something that I've heard other people say as well, where with the sidestepping changes, with the small defense that they did, the game does feel radically different. The reason why a lot of people still don't want to try the game is because of a lot of the new moves, a lot of the lack of identity. Yes, there's like defense existing in the game now, but the biggest problem is like lack of identity, not only for individual characters, but for Tekken as a brand itself. I wonder how they're going to band-aid this game over the next couple of months to put personality back in the game, to put identity back in the game. That's also something that I don't know if was highlighted properly, but that's another thing that people are upset about, and that's something else that needs to be addressed. It's not all busted characters, it's not all lack of defense, it's more complicated than that. Season 2 did more than just remove defense from the game. Harada responses and says, around Tekken 5, it may be a little difficult to understand, especially in the West, because not many people have experienced the arcade version, but the Tekken series basically went through an arcade location test, then launched and ran in arcade for a year, and have been updated as follows. After these arcade updates, the home versions was sold a short time later. In the case of Tekken 8, it was released from home use. This update was finally closer to the first major update of the past version, i.e. it's still in the stage not being sold for home use in past cases. However, what makes it different from the arcade days is that it can be updated quite often. We plan to do several tuning updates before big tournaments and events, so please wait for more information. One of these updates that they're doing is patch 2.00.03, but it's these type of updates that they're going to continuously do. And it's interesting that he said before the big tournaments start, because this is something that they did with Season 1, where once the tournament started, they pretty much was hands off. And this time around, players are not going to sit there and just let the game be trash with the promise of it being better in a year. They really have a very short time span before Evil Japan get here, and they have to get cooking. But with that conversation aside, let's talk a little bit about characters now. The first one is Beck Dusan, and boy does this sound like bad news. Someone says, Harada, how's Beck doing? I would love to see my main guy back in Tekken 8, please. Harada says, Beck is a good character, but if I were to add another Korean fighter, I would want it to be a female character using Taekyon. I had this idea for 15 years and it still hasn't happened. This sounds like an official confirmation of the death of this character, right? Tekken players have a lot of legacy. They have very fond memories of characters like Michelle, Baek Dusan, Wang, right? Some of these older era characters. And I'm of the opinion, and it's a controversial opinion, but I still hold this opinion, that some of these characters should basically never exist again. Baek Dusan, if he shows up in a game, it should be in a cutscene, it should be like in an ending for Harada. It should be in some type of like story type of reference type of role. I think we have way too many characters on the roster to be also juggling characters like Baek Dusan. I mean, if you think about it, right? Tekken 7 had like 50 something characters, and it was already too much. Tekken 8 is introducing 4 more characters, and then you're also going to have like a lot of other characters, guest characters. We're just at a point where Tekken has too many characters, and you just have to let go of some of them. The controversial ones, the bad ones, and also some of the older ones. Another tweet here is about the character Josie, where Harada says, I explained this before, but please do not make the same request over and over again because it is counterproductive. It will result in hindering the work of staff who are taking notes and making a list of everyone's requests. This is pretty interesting. One, I don't know why Harada would say this. Why would Harada say, like, don't make the same request over and over? Maybe this person is making the same request over and over, but if they're not, and this is just someone who's like saying Josie and Harada saying, don't say Josie because other people, like, I don't get that. I don't know why he feels the need to say this, but he's saying it. But I do like the idea of him taking notes and trying to figure out what the players want, what they're interested in. In my opinion, when you talk about the character Josie, I don't think she should be in Tekken 8. I think her personality is too controversial, and there's other characters who basically do the same type of fighting as her and would be a better success, right? When you stack these characters up and you see which one you should go with, a Falcon Rama Bruce to Josie, I mean, Fahkumram has the legacy. That would be a huge W for Tekken. Fahkumram has massive success in Tekken 7, and you have to wonder if he can, do that again in Tekken 8. Tekken 8 needs a huge win. Josie, she doesn't really have anything going for her besides like a normal size audience. Like, she's not super popular, she's not super hated. She's just a normal character, and when you stack a normal character up against an icon and a mega success, I mean, it just looks small in comparison. So that's why I think Josie won't show up in Tekken 8. And it really is a flip of a coin, in my opinion, between Bruce or Fahkumram. And I think Bruce is more likely than Fahkumram, but that's just my opinion. Now you have another tweet here where someone says, I have concept art ready for a Tekken Korean fighter with robotic legs. Harada says, this is also I explained before, but the theory is that if you refer or adopt any of your personal ideas presented in this way, we could be in trouble later. So don't adopt them. In other words, your ideas will be rather far from realization. Basically, with this tweet, he is saying that, when people give him ideas like this or suggestions like this, if he was to make a character with robotic legs, he would probably get sued by this person for stealing, not crediting, things of that nature. And there was also another tweet where someone was suggesting that he do a Slylat character. Now, this is something that players have talked about for a long time, and there's been a lot of whispers and rumors about should Tekken do it. And Harada was basically saying that, once again, it's something that people have said a lot. He knows it's important. He knows it's popular, but at the same time, with it being so heavily requested, is it something that he can do? And also, is it something that he should do? Is it something that people actually want, or has that time faded? I mean, in my opinion, especially with Tekken 8, it's hard to request any type of fighting style and have it look somewhat like the actual fighting style. I mean, Victor, what is his fighting style, right? His fighting style is like a John Wick CDC, or is it CQC type of fighting style. But you guys look at that character yourself and see if anything relates what like John Wick does. No, right? Like it looks so bizarre, so weird, so different. And I think Tekken is at this point where they may start off with a base idea for a fighting style, but their design team is pushing these fighting styles so far to where it just looks like some gibberish at the end of it. It looks like a video game. In the past, where they were able to realistically translate fighting styles, now they're at a point where the fighting styles look like goofy, it looks like animated. You may see one or two attacks that look realistic, but then the rest of it is just lost in the sauce, in my opinion. Now, someone else responds to him and says, where should we send requests? Is it okay to post here? Negan is my favorite Tekken character. Even if you could bring him back, I'd love to see a new character who has similar playstyle. People like to say that Negan was not popular, and he is definitely the most popular guest character ever when you're talking about Tekken 7 and everything that came before. More popular, more successful than Akuma and Geese Howard. And then now Clive is another character people say they don't like, but the statistics show that he is also now the most popular and successful guest character, right? And this is very early on. We'll see if the fall off is hard, but it seems like what people say online isn't always true. Everyone say that Negan was a waste, Clive was a waste, but their statistics says otherwise. That's just something I have to bring up. But regardless, Harada says, as for Negan, we already have received many requests. He is one of our guest characters that has been very well received by everyone. Perhaps his ruthlessness goes well with the Tekken world view. Now, obviously, I don't want Negan to return to Tekken 8. I think that would be absolutely ridiculous. But I am interested to see what type of characters they deliver in the future. We know the final character of Season 2 will be a totally new character. In Season 3, they probably should do maybe a guest character, maybe also a new character as well. But just with all of these curveball type of ideas thrown our way, I would love to see what they could come up with. And also with all of the criticism they've got for the first round of characters, I wonder if they can adapt that knowledge, that information in there and make the characters more honest to Tekken, more accurate to their original fighting styles, but also just cooler, right? Every character is an opportunity to learn, improve on what came before, and just make it something that the players feel happy when they're spending their money on. The biggest thing about Season 1 is that a lot of players felt robbed at the end of the day, and that's not what you really want. As someone selling a product to consumers, you don't want them to walk away feeling robbed. of course, you can't satisfy everyone. You know, everyone has their own niche ideas that no one else agrees with. But at the same time, when you upset the large portion of your player base, something is wrong. And that's kind of the main thing that they're dealing with season 2, of how they upset everyone. And with conversations like these, I hope we can fix it and once again find some kind of harmony between developer and players.